Let's read this first story. We have this one from Timcast.com. And I know some people are saying, whoa, 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 this headline is misleading. Or well, let me read it for you. Biden tells the 82nd Airborne they're going to Ukraine, contradicting previous promise. President Joe Biden told troops from the 82nd Airborne Division stationed in, how do you pronounce that? Rzeszów, Poland? Probably absolutely wrong. Where's Jack when you need him? Or Luke, that they would be going to Ukraine. During his first State of the Union address at the beginning of March, Biden promised that he would not be putting American boots on the ground. Quote, let me be clear, our forces are not engaged and will not engage in the conflict with the Russian forces in Ukraine. However, Biden's words in Poland imply he has changed his mind. Quote, you're going to see when you're there. You're going to see women, young people standing in the middle in front of a damn tank saying, I'm not leaving. So we have this from the Daily Mail. White House forced to correct Biden after hinted U.S. troops would be sent into Ukraine in slip-in speech to paratroopers in Poland. Following Biden's comments to the 82nd Airborne Division in Poland, the White House clarified, saying, the president has been clear we are not sending U.S. troops to Ukraine, and there is no change in that position. All right. I just got to say, there's a few scenarios here. One, Joe Biden is a fumbling, bumbling fool and just was misspeaking, saying you'll see it when you're there. Maybe he meant something else. I honestly don't know. What could it mean to tell a troop they'll be seeing people standing in front of a tank saying, they're not moving or whatever? Could Joe Biden have accidentally said this? Could he have accidentally leaked advanced plans? Is the White House lying?
Like, is it a false signal? We're going to send our...
Is Joe Biden nuts?
Well, I think all of it's on the table.
Yeah.
It's all plausible. All four of your scenarios are plausible with this guy.
He just sounds so tired, like all the time. Like people make a lot of mistakes when they're tired and their sleep patterns are drawn out. He's in Poland right now, so he's traveling. I could absolutely see something like this being a slip up, that he's just not ready for public speaking when he's that tired or that out of it.
Yeah, he's already got a hypothetical set up in his mind. So he's like, when this hypothetical comes that is a hypothetical, this will be the situation. Yeah. But the word when, Rumsfeld said this about the Iraq war in 2002, before we were in Iraq, Afghanistan only, and he was like, when we go into Iraq. And it was like a signal. Like, what do you mean when?
What do you mean when?
Iraq's not on, this isn't part of the game right now.
Yeah. Well, it is part of the game for them.
Yeah, for sure. I would be mind blown if the United States was not preparing to send troops into Ukraine in some way.
Absolutely.
Or if they don't already have them there in some way.
I would be shocked if Joe Biden wasn't taking mad uppers of some sort.
Yeah. Like, this is the kind of situation where you pay privateers. This is where privateers came from. You put people into Ukraine, you pay them, but they don't wear American outfits. They're just being paid by the American government.
You mentioned that Biden seems tired all the time. And watching these past several videos, he is, like when he was at the G7, when he was talking about the New World Order and stuff, he's just talking like this. I was talking to this guy in a secure military. He said, going to be a New World Order. And I'm like, you know what, man? They must have this dude on so many pills to keep him moving. Because for someone his age to be traveling overseas to Europe, change in sleep schedule, working this much, I don't know how he does it. Because I got to be honest, I'm tired. Yeah. And I stay in this house most of the time just working.
It's tough for me to, watching it. I think we live in an age of double crosses and triple crosses. It's very hard for me to tell whether or not he's being puppeted or if he's just in on it and he's that sinister. And I think it's very hard to tell with a lot of these global figures in positions like his.
I have a hard time believing that his is on purpose or that he's doing it on purpose. I actually believe that I remember Styx Hexenhammer had a video when he got elected where he's like, I hope the CIA, he's like, I don't want him to be president, but if he is, give him the good drugs. he's like the CIA, I hope they give him the good stuff to keep him awake so that people don't think our president's falling asleep at the wheel.
He's completely right. Make him work.
Give him the stuff
so
that
all right,
can't take.
But let's say this. Outside of whatever Biden is supposed to be saying and whatever he meant, I don't know. What do you think, man? Do you think they're going to send troops? You think NATO will get involved? You think U.S. troops are going to get involved in Ukraine, go up against Russia?
It's hard to say. I think ultimately there is a 4-player jump ball geopolitically. You got the free people of many nations around the world. You have your globalists. You got Russia and China. And, I think Glenn Beck laid this out well. I've written it before on my Substack. China and Russia want a nationalist dictatorship, and the globalists want an international dictatorship. And I think Ukraine is the proxy ground for the war between the globalists and China and Russia in many regards. And we're in the fog of war. It's hard to say what they'll do. I would lean towards they probably will, intervene in the Ukraine in some way coming up shortly.
When I think about like who would win from a war between the United States and Russia, it'd be China. I mean, or it'd be like the oligarchs like Klaus Schwab. But like when I think of Kolomoisky and how he created that TV station to put Zelensky on a TV show, and then he made the political party to put Zelensky into power. Who's he connected with?
I think the people that win ultimately in this are the central bank financial cartels. And when you push, nations on a global stage to this level of pressure and desperation, and it's ultimately going to affect the currency. Yeah. It's ultimately going to potentially crash the currency, which would give them the opportunity to usher in a new global digital currency, which takes authoritarianism to an entirely new height. And I think that I don't think that they've been shy about saying that that's their ambition. I think that we, as individual citizens who don't have that type of sinister mindset, find it hard to believe that they would sacrifice people in the Ukraine or anywhere else in order to achieve that goal.
Now we got food shortages coming. Yeah, by fall. Because of fertilizer, because of exports in Ukraine. I think Ukraine and Hungary are pulling back on wheat exports. So Europe, they're going to be going hungry quite a bit. Yeah, prices are going to skyrocket.
The Holodomor was like a human-created mass starvation. The Holodomor? Is that how you pronounce it? Yeah. Holodomor. I wouldn't put it past an authoritarian regime to murder hundreds of thousands of people to get an agenda across. It's been happening plenty of times in the past.
I view it more like...
or millions or billions. I wouldn't even put it past them to kill half the planet to get an agenda across. You got to watch out for psychopathy.
Well, absolutely. I mean, here's a point. First of all, when you bring stuff like that up, the media just dismisses you and calls you crazy.
Well, I'm not saying they're doing it. I'm saying I wouldn't put it past them.
The media will dismiss you and call you crazy, which is crazy. Serial killers exist. There have been many serial killers who were very, very smart, and it's terrifying how calculated they were. Now imagine one of them just decides to get in office. Yep. How hard is it? I mean, heaven help us if someone with a psychotic individual serial killer mindset gets a high-ranking position in the military.
Also, drugs make people crazy. I think Hitler was on so many drugs, and it was a big part of what pushed him over the edge.
They were doing meth. Yep. Kept him going.
I see some of these politicians who have been elected, let's say like an Ilhan Omar, and I've said in the beginning of this campaign, I don't know how much she's in on it. I don't know how much she's initiated into these sort of global level plans. But a lot of them are useful drones for much more predatory and sophisticated predators. Players at the top level. And yes, sociopathic, psychopathic character traits are all on the board. I don't think that anybody should dismiss them. In fact, I think it's a concerted effort for the mainstream media to dismiss these things out of hand because they're in on it.
Oh yeah,
the mainstream media, the five-headed hydra, the New World Order is very clear to me. You got big tech, you got the three industrial complexes, military, media, and medicine, and you got the central bank cartels, and they do their best to make it seem like they're not, in on it together. But when you really take a step back and look at these things from a broader scope, they all interplay and they work together to quell what stories they need to and promote others.
I'm gonna pull this up every time someone mentions the New World Order, just so that I can say, here's what we're talking about. This is the Council on Foreign Relations News Guard certified 100 out of 100. And they say, what is the liberal world order? They say world leaders created a series of international organizations and agreements to promote global cooperation on issues including security, trade, health, and monetary policy. The United States has championed the system known as the liberal world order for the past 75 years. During this time, the world has enjoyed unprecedented peace and prosperity. I will dispute that.
Yeah, right.
But this is the idea. This is the Council on Foreign Relations. Whether anybody, they say, what is the UN Security Council? If someone wants to come out and say the New World Order is a crackpot conspiracy, whatever it is you're talking about, fine, sure. When we were talking about big tech and the monetary fund, look at this. Don't they? I think they actually mentioned the International Monetary Fund in here. Do they? Let me make sure.
They're doing it right in front of people.
Yep.
Do they mention the World Bank?
They're so brazen about it.
There we go. Look at this. Look at this. Evaluate the success of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund in promoting trade, development, and economic stability. So when we're talking about the banking industry, big tech, and all that stuff, just if you've got a problem with us believing that, take it up with the Council on Foreign Relations' own website, which says it's real. That's the only thing I have to say is, okay, then if you think that's a conspiracy theory, those crazy Council on Foreign Relations people putting those conspiracy theories up, they tricked us. Oh, man, how dare they?
And when they mean peace and prosperity, they mean here, not where we're using it overseas.
For the first time,
where we drop a bomb every 8 seconds.
It's peaceful here, just not all the other places where our influence is.
I mean,
in the West, it's peaceful in the West.
For the most part.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure if you look at the southern border with the cartels and look,
cities.
some of the most dangerous parts of Mexico are right on the southern border of the United States. So, yeah, I'm not about to agree with them on like it's been unprecedented peace and prosperity.
Yeah, you're saying the whole premise is false. It's a non-starter. Really.
I mean, they might have something to it because there was like how many hundreds of millions were killed in the 1900s. Like
100
World
million
War
plus.
I and II was the most grotesque thing the humans have ever done to themselves. Really, it was disgusting, and we haven't done that since we built this. So that's the upside. And before in the 1800s, it was probably as gruesome, not as gruesome because machine guns changed a lot, but pretty damn gruesome in the 1800s too, like really, really bad. So this maybe, I mean, I do think for the time that this had a purpose, but that the purpose is past. I don't think that we need to go to an autocratic global corporate governance, but I think that the liberal economic order is over.
Well, I think it's just real quick. I think it's funny that they're like, what is the World Trade Organization? What is the World Health Organization? What is international law? But the New World Order is a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Like what? World organizations exist.
I think what we're looking at right here is the fallout from a psychopathic man named Adolf Hitler committing a very evil atrocity on a certain group of people and wanted to expand an empire and have the German war machine go and take over the world. And then you had a bunch of opportunists, whether out of fear or out of ambition, see the opportunity to use him as a scapegoat to say the only way we could stop this from happening is if we consolidate power into international governing bodies. And what's interesting about the way they want to do this is similar to what China has done. If you notice with China and how they've reinitiated the re-education camps, they call them re-education camps, because they know, and I'm not to say that the CCP hasn't killed Uyghurs or cultural minorities in these camps. What I'm saying is that they've moved this sort of Overton window of what it means to be tyrannical and evil in a societal framework. So they'll say, we're not killing them like they did it. Like they did the Jews. We're just putting them in re-education camps. And that sort of quells the visceral feeling we have towards what happened to the Jews. And I think the UN and these globalist international bodies are doing a similar thing when they talk about peace. But then they're not talking about the peace of soul or the peace of spirit. They're talking about physical conflict, but the whole scam is to make people very chaotic and unpeaceful in their minds and bodies and spirits.
Yeah, you can chain two people up and they call it peaceful because they can't fight, but they're not going to be happy. That's not a good peace for those people.
It's still a degradation of humanity and dignity.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.